You are not bad with money. You are just playing a game that was designed for you to lose slowly. And the worst part? You've been blaming yourself the entire time. You wake up in your apartment in Chicago, or maybe Dallas, maybe somewhere in California where rent quietly eats half your paycheck. The alarm goes off, and before you even sit up, your phone is already telling you what kind of day this is going to be. A notification. Your credit score has changed. You open it. It dropped. Not by much, maybe 12 points. But it feels bigger than that. It feels like you did something wrong, even if you don't know what that something is. You start thinking back. Did you miss a payment? No. Did you overspend? Not really. Did you do everything right? You did. And somehow, that's the problem. Because in America, doing everything right doesn't mean you're winning. It just means you're following the rules of a system that doesn't reward you for escaping it. It rewards you for staying inside. Let's rewind for a second. You're 18. Maybe your name is Brandon Lewis, sitting in a high school classroom in Ohio. Or maybe you're Chloe Martinez, walking into your first semester at a university in Florida. You're told something that sounds simple. Build your credit. It sounds responsible, smart, necessary, like something adults do. No one explains what it actually means. No one explains how this one number, this invisible score, is about to follow you into every major decision of your life. A week later, maybe two, you get your first offer, a credit card. It shows up in your mailbox like an opportunity. Clean design, friendly language. Start your financial journey today. You haven't earned real money yet. You don't understand interest. You don't even know what APR stands for, but you get approved instantly. Because in the United States, your financial life doesn't begin when you earn money. It begins when you borrow it. At first, it feels harmless. You swipe for gas, groceries, maybe late-night food with friends, and you tell yourself something that almost everyone tells themselves. I'll pay it off. And sometimes you do. But then life starts happening faster. You graduate. You get a job. You move into your own place. And suddenly, money doesn't stretch the way you thought it would. Rent in Los Angeles or New York doesn't care about your salary. Groceries don't slow down because you're trying to save. Your paycheck hits and disappears almost immediately. So you start using the card more. Not because you want to, because it feels like the only thing keeping everything together. Evan Turner lives in Houston. He makes around $68,000 a year. Decent money. The kind of number that sounds stable when you say it out loud. But his rent is $1,900. Car payment, $480. Insurance, gas, utilities. By the time everything is paid, there's not much left. So when something small goes wrong, it doesn't feel small. A dentist visit, a car repair, a random expense you didn't plan for. He reaches for the card, not because he's irresponsible, because he doesn't have another option. And this is where the system starts doing something you don't notice at first. It makes you feel okay about it, because you can still make the minimum payment. And that number, that small, harmless-looking number, is where everything begins to shift. You look at your balance, $3,800. Minimum payment, $112. You exhale. That's manageable. And in that moment, the system wins a little. Because you're not thinking about the full amount anymore. You're thinking about survival. You're thinking about keeping things stable. And stability, in this system, doesn't mean freedom. It means you're functioning exactly how you're supposed to. Month after month. You keep going. You swipe when you need to. You pay what you can. You stay just above the line where things feel out of control. But something starts changing inside you. Slowly, quietly. You stop asking, can I afford this? And you start asking, can I make the payment? And that question changes everything. Because now, you're not measuring cost. You're measuring how long you can stay in the game. And the game was never designed to end. It was designed to keep you playing. And the longer you stay in the game, the more the rules start to change around you without you even noticing. Because now, it's not just about spending. It's about your score. That number you checked this morning, the one that dropped 12 points. It starts to feel like something bigger than just a number. It feels like a judgment. In America, your credit score decides things you don't even question anymore. Where you live, what car you can drive, what interest rate you'll pay. Sometimes, whether you even get approved at all. So naturally, you start protecting it. You monitor it. You check it every few days. You feel a small rush when it goes up, and a quiet anxiety when it drops. But here's what no one tells you. Your credit score doesn't grow the fastest when you avoid debt. It grows when you manage it. That means using your credit, keeping balances, making consistent payments. In other words, the system rewards behavior that keeps you inside the system. Tyler Brooks lives in Phoenix. He's careful with money. The kind of person who hates owing anyone anything. So he decides to do everything right. He uses his credit card, but only a little. Pays it off in full every month. Keeps his balance low. It sounds perfect. Responsible. Disciplined. Safe. But when he checks his credit score, it barely moves. Some months, it doesn't move at all. And sometimes, it even drops slightly. That doesn't make sense to him. He's doing everything right. But in the eyes of the system, he's not profitable enough. Meanwhile, someone carrying a balance, making minimum payments, paying interest every month, often sees their score grow faster. Let that sink in. The system doesn't reward you for eliminating debt. It rewards you for managing it consistently. Just enough to keep you paying. Not enough to push you to break. And that's where things start getting psychological. Because now, your relationship with money isn't just practical, that it's emotional. Your credit score becomes something you feel. When it goes up, you feel like you're moving forward. Like you're winning. When it drops, you feel like you've failed. Even if nothing in your actual life has changed. That's not accidental. That's control, through perception. You start making decisions based on that number. Not what's best for you, but what keeps the score healthy. You keep accounts open, even if you don't need them. You avoid closing cards, even when you want to simplify. You carry small balances, because you've heard it helps. And slowly, you stop asking what makes sense. You start asking what the system wants. Now let's talk about the part that's almost invisible. Interest. Because this is where the system does its best work. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Quietly. Relentlessly. Jordan Hayes lives in Atlanta. He has a credit card balance of $7,600. APR? 22%. He makes his payments every month. Sometimes just the minimum. Sometimes a little more when he can. And every time he pays, he feels like he's making progress. Like he's moving forward. But behind the scenes, something else is happening. That balance isn't shrinking the way he thinks it is. Because a portion of every payment is disappearing into interest. Not the actual debt. So even when he pays $250, a piece of that vanishes. And the rest barely moves the total. It feels like progress. But it's slower than it should be. And that's the trap. Because nothing looks urgent. There's no warning. No alarm. Just a number. That refuses to disappear. And over time, that creates something deeper than stress. It creates dependence. Because now, you can't just stop. If Jordan suddenly decided, I'm done with credit cards, he still has $7,600 sitting there. And without access to credit, every unexpected expense becomes a problem he can't solve. So he stays in. Keeps paying. Keeps using. Not because he wants to, but because leaving feels riskier than staying. And that's how the system holds you. Not with force, but with uncertainty. Because when you're uncertain, you don't make bold moves. You make safe ones. You keep things stable. You stay in the loop. Payment after payment. Month after month, year after year. Until one day, you look up and realize you've been playing a game that was never meant to let you win. And the moment you realize that, everything starts to look different. Not dramatically. Not all at once. Just quietly, like something finally clicking into place. You start noticing patterns you ignored before. Why does paying off your credit card sometimes drop your score? Why does closing an account hurt you, even when you're trying to get out? Why does carrying a balance sometimes seem to help more than being debt-free? At first, it feels confusing, like the rules don't make sense. But then you see it. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly how it was designed to. Because if you were completely debt-free, you wouldn't be valuable anymore. No interest, no fees, no predictable behavior. You'd be harder to control. So the system doesn't push you out. It nudges you back in. Gently, quietly, just enough to keep you participating. Ryan Mitchell lives in Denver. He gets to a point where he's had enough. He looks at his balance one night and decides something has to change. So he starts cutting back, cancels subscriptions, stops eating out, sends every extra dollar toward his credit cards that first. It feels powerful. He watches the balance drop. Month after month, it gets lower. For the first time, he feels like he's actually winning. But then life pushes back. His car breaks down. $1,400. He doesn't have enough saved. So he uses the card. Again, the balance jumps. Not all the way back, but enough to erase weeks of progress. A few months later, rent goes up. Groceries cost more. Insurance quietly increases. The gap returns, and slowly, almost invisibly, he's back in the same position. Not because he failed, because the environment never changed. That's the part no one talks about. In America, getting out of debt isn't just about discipline. It's about structure, and most people are trying to escape a system while still living inside it. Same paycheck, same expenses, same pressure. So even when you move forward, something pulls you back. Not to zero, not to freedom, but to a place that feels manageable. Because manageable debt is where the system works best. Now here's where everything shifts. You start realizing something most people never do. The opposite of debt isn't zero. It's control. Control over your time. Control over your choices. Control over whether you need to swipe that card or not. And control doesn't come from a credit score. It comes from reducing dependence. But that's uncomfortable. Because now, you're going against everything you've been taught. You're not upgrading your lifestyle every time your income rises. You're not chasing the bigger apartment, the newer car, the image of success. You're doing something quieter, something slower, something that doesn't get attention. And at first, it feels like you're falling behind. Like everyone else is moving forward, and you're standing still. But then something changes. Your stress starts to drop. Your decisions get clearer. Your life feels lighter. Because you're no longer reacting. You're choosing. And that's when you finally see it. The system was never built to make you free. It was built to make you function. To keep you working. Spending, paying. Repeating. And if you never question it, you can spend your entire life inside that loop. Making payments. Building a score. Chasing stability. Without ever realizing. You were allowed to step outside of it. Not all at once. Not dramatically. But slowly. Intentionally. Through small decisions. Repeated over time. Spending less than you earn. Building something that doesn't depend on credit. Creating space between you and the system. Until one day, you check your statement. And it doesn't control you anymore. Until one day, you realize you're not thinking about due dates, or minimum payments, or interest rates. Because they're no longer running your life. And that's when everything flips. Not when your balance hits zero, but when your behavior changes. Because in the end, the most powerful thing you can do in a system built on debt is stop needing it.